Okay, welcome everybody. The time is 7 o'clock. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll go ahead and open up the regular city council meeting and call it to order. Again, the time is 7 o'clock. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the rear wall next to the agendas. So at this time, we'll have a roll call.
Please vote for roll call. Eight council members are present, Mayor.
Next is mayor's comments. Just one thing I'd like to mention this evening, we are approaching the 5-year anniversary of the 2019 floods here in this community. And so I wanted to mention an event that is happening to kind of recognize our community's resilience from the 2019 floods. The Fremont United Way and the Greater Dodge County Long-Term Recovery Group has scheduled an event recognizing the 5-year anniversary and the progress made from the floods of March of 2019. The event is set up for 4 p.m. on March 15th at Milady Coffee House East Wing venue. It will feature a video, a variety of storytellers and music to celebrate the resilience and strength of the Fremont community. And so I just want to encourage those if you're able to attend that. And again, we have obviously come a long way since 2019, and it's important to recognize the 5-year anniversary and the resilience that our community showed during that time, and appreciate the United Way and the Dodge County Long-Term Recovery Group for putting on this event. So that would be Friday at 4 p.m., 4 to 6. The program will start at 5. So we'll move on to item 1 as a motion to adopt the current agenda for the March 12th, 2024 regular meeting. Councilman Horner.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the current agenda for March 12th, 2024 regular meeting.
Councilman Jensen. Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to the appointments. Item 2 is a motion to confirm the appointment of police officers per mayor recommendation. It is my pleasure tonight to bring forward 4 candidates that have gone through the civil service process and completed all eligibility requirements to be new police officers to the city of Fremont. Also want to thank our staff and Chief Elliott for their hard work in attracting and recruiting these candidates. We have Christopher Williamson, Nicholas Hawthorne, Tyson McFarland, and Noah Miranda, all 4 of those. So I would take a motion to approve these appointments. Councilman Horner.
I'll make that motion.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We have 2 of those new officers that are here with us tonight. Would newly appointed officers Tyson McFarland and Noah Miranda please stand so we can recognize you, and congratulations. Welcome to the Fremont Police Department. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. Item 3 is Resolution 2024-058, the expansion of a pre-existing conditional use permit to co-locate antenna and add ground equipment on property generally located at 2615 North Broad Street in Fremont. I'll have staff report on this item.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council, Travis Jacott, City Attorney. I'm subbing in for Jennifer Dam this evening on this item. This is a request for Verizon Tower on Broad Street. Unfortunately, with these types of requests, we're constrained by federal regulations, and those were included in the packet. As you can see, Verizon's the plan for this tower, specifically, they get as close to the line of constituting what would be a substantial modification, but they don't quite get there. So under the federal regulation, which would preempt our city code, the city council is required to approve this modification. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions for staff on this item? Councilman Horner?
No question, just a quick comment, just so I can say it publicly is, I sent an email on this one. And my question was basically, if we don't have a choice, why are we taking the time on this agenda to even worry about this? Because if we were all 8 to hypothetically say no or abstain, it would happen anyways. So just want to say that publicly, that if you are out there and you disagree with this, there's not really anything we can do about it. So I'm going to do my duty and vote as I should, but just would like to get the public comment out.
Okay. Any other questions or comments at this point from council? Okay, I'll now open the public hearing on this item. You see no comments, I'll close the public hearing. Any additional comments from council? Councilman Vaughn.
I realize we're missing the person that probably would be most apt to answer this question, but notice that the cell tower does not provide the fall zone required by the current UDC. Does the city of Fremont have any inherent liability in case that were to fall onto somebody's property or livelihood?
No, the liability really would fall on the either maintenance or the owner of the structure itself. Again, we were preempted by federal law, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Jensen.
If there's no further discussion on this, I'll make the motion to approve resolution 24058.
Councilman Horner.
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to the consent agenda, all items in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council, will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda by council or staff? Okay. Is there any items to be removed? Okay, Councilwoman Lathrop.
I'd like to just pull number 8 just for a brief comment.
Okay. Any items from the public to be removed? Okay. Seeing none, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda items 4 through 7, 9 through 14. Councilman Von Baron.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Councilman Vaughn.
I was second.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 8 is the resolution 2024-055 approving the request of the 505 Brewing Company to close and use portion of 4th Street and approve application for special designated license. Have a report on this?
Mayor and council, this is for consideration of approval of an SDL and a closure of a portion of 4th Street for events for 505 at their request. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, questions for staff? Councilwoman Lathrop.
I really don't have a problem with this. I just wanted to say thank you, that it ends at 10 o'clock, so we don't have any further noise issues that late at night. So thank you.
Anything else on this item? Okay. Seeing none, I take a motion. Councilman Horner.
I will make the motion to approve resolution 2024-055 approving the request of 505 Brewing as stated.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to unfinished business is ordinance 5670 repealing electric rate ordinance 5620 and electric rate rider for the Fremont Community Solar Farm ordinance 5408. And there is a request to suspend the rules and move to third reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. As mentioned last week, this is a request to repeal the current electric rate ordinance and the electric solar credit rider and replace it with this ordinance. This just spells out how we're going to define the credits for the solar customers. The customers that are currently on the solar program, the community solar program, their credit will be applied the same way it has been in the past. Any new customers coming on, we would like to use the methodology from SPP, the local marginal price. Take any questions?
Councilman Vaughn.
Could I ask maybe in more layman's terms what the difference is between the two?
The LMP, what that is, we would look at the yearly average, and that's the 5-minute block of what it costs to buy electricity in the real-time market. So we took the full year of 5-minute data and gave us the average, and that was basically the avoided cost or the replacement cost for power. When it was originally established, it used a cost of production cost, which includes purchase power, sales, production costs, all those kind of components. The LMP is probably the way to go, but we've already told these customers this is how we're going to calculate it. So we want to continue that with them.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilman Horner.
Jeff, I think we maybe talked about this but could you remind me, is this an improvement for the those I forget the technical term for them, but those people who are generating with the solar cells, is this an improvement or are you better off under the old system?
This is in this right here, we're talking about the community solar program. That's the 2 solar farms that we have, one out by the power plant and one at the well field. The people that are already on that community solar program will be getting their credit the same way they've always been getting it. Any new customer coming on is going to get the LMP. When we get to the next item where we talk about the net metering, that's people that have their own solar panels on their house.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Not a question, but I certainly appreciate that you're not changing a contract with people who had already made a contract with us.
Understood.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. Anybody here to speak on this item? Okay. Are there any additional comments from the council on this item? If not, I would take a motion. This would be to hold second reading. Councilwoman Ganem.
I move we hold second reading.
Councilman Sukram. Okay. Cast your votes. Hold second reading.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Now have second reading.
An ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for electricity consumed by customers of the municipal electric system, defining terms, repealing ordinance number 5408 and ordinance number 5620 and all other ordinances, parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when this rate schedules are effective and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect on second reading.
Councilman Jensen.
I will make the request to move ordinance 5670 to the third and final reading at this time.
Councilwoman Lathrop.
Second.
Cast your votes to hold final reading.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Now have final reading.
An ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for electricity consumed by customers of the municipal electric system, defining terms, repealing ordinance number 5408 and ordinance number 5620 and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when this rate schedule are effective and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect on final reading.
Cast your final vote.
Ordinance is approved 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to item 16 is resolution 2024-048, authorizing the update to the FDU policy and guidelines for net metering to a customer generator with a qualified facility.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This already existed in our current net metering policy. It listed it as the utilities avoided cost. We just wanted to be able to define the avoided cost. This methodology is used by many communities in Nebraska, and we just wanted to make sure it was defined. So when somebody looks at the policies, they can see what it is. And this is the LMP that we talked about earlier.
Questions for Mr. Shanahan? Councilman Vaughn?
So as I understand this, this item has to do with somebody who would have their own power generation, most likely solar, that would trade back and forth with the grid, the network, however you're
Correct.
going to call it. A lot of folks that I talk to have evolved their way of thinking as far as solar and how it would apply to residential. Would this be applicable for those folks who don't want to give back to the grid? They want to generate a small amount, consume it all, or store excess in their batteries, and have an automatic transfer switch to kick in off the public power grid when they would run out, and not necessarily sell back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a generating device and you have enough load that your generator never gets back to send power back out to our system, our meter won't pick that up. You'll just have less consumption on your meter. So if you have a battery source or something like that, that can be a load to that generating source, then you'd be fine. You wouldn't sell the electricity back.
Thank you.
Any other questions at this point?
Thank you.
Anybody here to speak on this item? Okay. If there's no other comments from the council, I would take a motion. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024-048.
Councilman Sukram,
I'll second that.
cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to item 17 is to move to receive the and file the fire department annual report. And with us today is Chief Burnt.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Todd Burnt, Fire Chief. What you see in front of you is the 2023 annual report. I'll go through a bunch of numbers, give some highlights, then I'll be able to, if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer them if you have them. Last year, we had 3,927 emergencies. This is a 2.58 increase from 2022, but it's also a 23% increase from 2020. We're averaging about 10.775 runs a day. Our EMS response, we had 3,592 medical runs, which include 204 motor vehicle accidents and 41 ALS intercepts. Our medical runs are up about 3.9%. ALS intercepts are, we have agreements with a lot of the area fire departments that only provide a BLS service. So if they have a patient that's in serious condition, they'll call for us. We'll meet them en route with our pickup. Our paramedics will actually jump in the back of their ambulance and provide patient care. So we had 41 of those last year. We had 3,742 patient contacts. That's an increase of 2.8%. Our average patient age is 61.38. That's an increase from, I think it was the year before it was 60.08. I'm going to give you some examples of our top emergencies that we had last year with the average patient age, so to give you a comparison where we sit with the average patient age. Falls. Our average patient age is 74 years old. We had an increase of those about 4.7%. Medical transports is 65. Medical transports in the chart that's in the report, it has a description of various things. Medical transports do not fall in any of those particular descriptions, so we just put it under medical transports. Traffic accidents, the average patient age is 35.41. Difficulty breathing is 68.78. Unresponsive is 61. And cardiac, which include like chest pains, cardiac arrest, is 63.79. 20% of our patient contacts are advanced life support, advanced life support, starting IVs, given medications. 51% are basic life support. 29% of our patient contacts are patients refusing services or transport to the hospital. And 91% of our calls are EMS. That is the majority of our calls. March was our busiest month with 339 medical calls. And we did have 2 firefighters that were injured on EMS related emergencies. A lot of those injuries are strains and sprains because we are doing a lot of lifting on those type of calls. Fire responses, we had 335. This is a decrease of 9.7% from the previous year. But one thing I want to stress, even though it's a decrease, this is still the second highest number of fire runs we've ever had. So even though it's a slight decrease, it's still a very high number. April was the busiest month with 41 calls. We had 42 fires that required extinguishment. Fire losses were a little bit over 1.1 million. Our top 3 fire causes were operator error, equipment failure, and electrical. Some other fire runs that we responded to, we had 121 automatic fire alarms, 26 smoke order investigations, 26 unauthorized burnings. Unauthorized burnings, people burning trash, burning leaves in their yards and stuff like that. We had 39 hazardous materials with the majority of them being natural gas leaks. We did have some fuel spills. We had a refrigeration leak, anhydrous ammonia, and some carbon monoxide incidents. We did have 10 civilian injuries due to fire-related incidents. Those were mostly like smoke inhalation, some minor burns. And we did not have any firefighters injured on any of the fire-related incidents. When it comes to like fire calls, those type of calls require a lot of resources within a short amount of time once we get a call. So one thing that we do use is mutual aid. Last year, we used mutual aid 3 times. On those type of incidents, we'll either have mutual aid department respond to the scene to assist us, or there's been many times if we have no staff or apparatus available, we actually bring in an ambulance from a neighboring town to sit in our station and take any other additional calls if our guys are not available. So we do use mutual aid in that capacity. There's been times Arlington, they're really good. Anytime we need an ambulance, they'll come and man our station. As a matter of fact, we just had a fire over the weekend where we used mutual aid. We had Fremont Rural and we had Arlington bring an ambulance to man the fire station. So if there was any additional calls while our guys were at the fire, there were personnel to take those calls. We had some changes in our response area. In 2022, the Linden area had like 700 runs in the Reynolds area, which is like North Clarkson, where's Dan Gifford Towers and a bunch of nursing homes, had like 619. In 2023, the Linden area had like almost a 4% drop, but the Reynolds area had a 38% increase in call volume. They went from 619 to 855 runs. And mostly of that is due to the nursing homes and stuff like that in that area. Training, we had 3,366 hours of documented training. This is all EMS, firefighting, any type of technical rescue. We do use Metro Community College quite a bit for a lot of our EMS and fire training. Matter of fact, this week we have Metro there doing a lot of rope rescue and confined space training over the next 3 days and a day next week. Callbacks, we had 322 callbacks. This is a 10.27% increase. Callbacks is used when we have multiple emergencies going on at the same time, major incidents such as structure fires and stuff of that. Last year, City of Fremont became members of a mutual finance organization. That was with a lot of the area cities and villages and fire districts within the county. And by becoming members of that, we were able to get funding through the state. And we did receive our first check from the state, a little bit over $62,000 within the last couple of weeks. We should be getting another check, probably, I imagine around July timeframe. So we actually approved for like $120,000 a year to finance some of the fire department. Some other funding that we received last year, we got some money from the state for the purchase of an ambulance with 75,000. We did get an estate gift from the Hare family. Joanne Hare, she was a daughter of a former fire chief of Fremont, Hubert Hare. He was a member of the department from 1926 to 1947. And he was chief from 42 to 47. So his daughter-in-law put her in her estate, and we're receiving like 30,000 a year over the next 5 years, which we can use towards purchases. Received a donation from ADM for 33,000 for bunker gear, 5,300 from the Fremont Board of Realtors for smoke detectors. And also with the Fire Safety Council, we got 13,000. A lot of that is the National Fire Safety Council. They'll send out letters to a lot of the area businesses and seeking donations. And what this money is used for is for all our fire prevention materials for the grade schools and stuff like that. So we make sure all the kids from daycares up to fourth grade have fire prevention materials that they take home and to be fire safe. I'll touch a little bit on our fire times and our responses. I'm going to be talking about turnout times and travel times. Turnout times is from the time we get dispatched at the fire station and time we get dispatched and time we go en route to go in response. The travel times from the time we go in response to the time we arrive on scene. And for fire responses, they have a benchmark of, this is through the National Fire Protection Association. They have some standards on these. The turnout time for fire responses is 80 seconds. And that's not less than 90% of the time. Our 90 percentile turnout time is 3 minutes and 44 seconds. And that's actually improved 14 seconds from the previous year. We met that 80-second turnout time 11.19% of the time. And the travel time is 4 minutes. And our 90 percentile travel time is 5 minutes and 37 seconds, which is also improved. We met the travel time of 4 minutes, 72, almost 73% of the time. Our in-town EMS runs, they have a benchmark of a turnout time of 60 seconds. That's not less than 90% of the time. Our 90 percentile turnout time was 2 minutes and 53 seconds, which is an improvement of 4 seconds from the previous year. And we met that turnout time of 60 seconds almost 8% of the time. The travel time is 4 minutes for EMS responses, not less than 90% of the time. And our 90 percentile was 4 minutes and 52 seconds, which is an improvement just by 1 second. We met that 4-minute target time almost 80% of the time. Turnout times, they are high. Reason behind that, we are a single station department. We do our own training. We do various things. We do our own, some maintenance around the station. We do our own yard work, snow removal. We're out in the community doing fire prevention, pre-planning, and just due to some of the calls that we have, we may have extended times from time we get that call to get going again. So they're a little extended, but we try to keep them as low as possible. The 4-minute travel time, I actually see an improvement with that. I think once we do get a second station built and staffed and ready to go, I anticipate we should see a big improvement in our 4-minute response times with that. I'll discuss a little bit where we are in the hiring process with firefighters and assistant fire chief. Right now, firefighters, hopefully the next city council meeting, there will be some names coming across with the mayor's approval. I'm hoping next one, if not, it'd be the one after that. With the assistant fire chiefs, working with the HR department on a testing process on that. hopefully we'll have an agreement with a company to help us with that process, and hopefully the next city council meeting, you should see something for that. That's all I have. If you have any questions.
Councilman Von Baeren.
Yeah, just a couple. The travel times that you mentioned, does that include turnout, or is that turnout and then there's travel time?
There's turnout, then there's travel time. They're two different times.
Okay. As we look at this, there are a whole lot of questions, obviously, that we could come up with. In your view, what are the significant items in this report? What should we know? What should we take away from this?
Just every year, and our call volume just keeps going higher, and the community's getting older. Just from here, with the times, I do see improvements in our times moving forward, especially with the second station being built. And hopefully, not only our travel times, hopefully we can see some improvements in our turnaround times, because we'll have multiple units in service. So hopefully with one unit's busy doing some other stuff, we can actually pick up the pace elsewhere. So I'm hoping with moving forward with the new station and stuff like that and additional staffing, we can actually see some improvements in those times.
Okay. And given the number of medical responses, obviously we've long surpassed just simple firefighting as a role for the fire department. Is there ever a point where we need to somewhat specialize, and not necessarily separate the two, but is one an encumbrance on the other? Are we getting to a point where we need additional medical resources?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, a few years ago, we actually maybe sort of talked about that. But when you get a structure fire, you need a lot of resources. And if we start right now, there's been talk of, well, why don't we just hire paramedics and we'll keep them on during the busiest time during the day. But we're still only leaving a certain amount of cross-trained firefighters. So if you get that major working fire, you need a lot of people in a short amount of time. Also, within the NFPA, in the standard where they talk about a 4-minute response time, they also talk about staffing. An example they give in the standard, and it was for a 2-story, 2,000 square foot, single family dwelling, within the first 8 minutes, you need 16 people on scene. Because there are so many jobs that have to be done to mitigate and to save lives and stuff like that. Right now, we're skipping a lot of things on the fire scene because we're only responding with 7 people. And if we start just hiring EMS and that's all they do, we still need people on the fire side. So when we get those major incidents, to fill those jobs. You know, at a major working structure fire, you need someone for instant command. You got to set up a water supply. We got to set up a hand line to attack the fire. You need a backup line. You need a line for a search and rescue. You need RIT team. And there's just a long list of stuff right now. Right now, if our guys are going in, we don't have a RIT team because we don't have the people to staff that. That's only putting our firefighters in grave danger right there. So we're skipping a lot of steps right now that we should not be doing.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Jensen.
I just want to speak a little bit to these mutual aid agreements. I see on social media once in a while, I see some criticism that we're depending on these mutual aid agreements to get the work done simply because we're not staffed correctly. I certainly understand that we need more staffing. I think everybody understands we need more staffing, but these mutual aid agreements are pretty standard throughout the nation. Is that not a correct
Oh yeah,
statement?
every county has it.
That's
Not only we receive mutual aid, we also give mutual aid. There's been times Fremont Rural's had a couple of structure fires and they wanted an ambulance for standby for those first few minutes in case someone got hurt, or if there was a civilian that got hurt. We go to Arlington to assist them. We help Cedar Bluffs, North Bend. I mean, we scratch each other's backs.
Yep. Thank you. I just wanted some clarity to that issue. Thank you.
Councilman Vaughn.
So looking at the number of emergency medical service calls that you're dealing with, year over year, and looking at the number of falls and then jumping to the demographics as far as the age of our population that's suffering a lot of those. And I believe you kind of already touched on the fact that a lot of these folks are based in a certain part of town.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know your thoughts on a satellite facility with just an EMS staffing presence that would be in that general vicinity that could respond to some of those a lot quicker and not take away from your other responsibilities.
And I also broke down the districts in town by the average patient age. The Reynolds area, average patient age is 75. So every time we go over there, it's 75. The next one is Brentwood. But we only had like 30 calls to that area and the average patient age is 71. But every else, other district is low 60s, 40s, 30s. So Reynolds is the big district that we have where the high population of the elderly.
Is that worth consideration then for?
Well, that area actually falls in within that 4-minute response of our current station right now.
Thank you.
Councilman Horner.
Chief Burnt, thank you very much for this report. A lot goes into this, and I'm impressed just with the amount of information that's here. I want to play off on what Councilman Vaughn just mentioned about falls. When I do the math on this, it's nearly 30% of your EMS calls are falls. It looks like. I mean, you got 919, you got about 3330 total, so it's about 30%. You know, there are some organizations in town that Rebuilding Together being one of them. I know this only because I'm on their board, and they at one time specialized in fall prevention. They had we lost that when we lost some personnel. Is there anybody out there that we could maybe refer to and let them know that there might be somebody in there that needs some help just with coming up with ways to prevent falls?
I don't know if the Eastern Nebraska on Aging possibly, it might be a resource possibly. I don't know if the United Way has anything or.
I just wonder if there's any opportunities for partnering where if you guys saw it and you could refer that to someone, if they could go in and maybe take a look at the space and see if there's a way they can make some improvements that would help with fall prevention.
Yeah.
I
It's
mean, if
definitely
you
something to look into.
I mean, if you could reduce this number by 20%, that would be a lot less falls. I mean, just quite a few less falls. Well, just something to think about.
Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Ganem.
No, just a comment. I would just want to say how much we appreciate our first responders and our fire department and all the work that you do and that they do every day. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief Burnt, for this report. I just want to point out, I'm just doing some simple math here, with the Dodge County Mutual Finance Organizations, 120,000 or just over 124,000, and all the other numbers you said, just over $275,000 in grants and other funding coming in 2023 outside of the budget. So, I mean, thank you. That's tremendous work and tremendous benefit to the community. So appreciate that as well.
Sure. You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions? Okay. Anybody here to speak on this item? Right. Seeing none, any additional comments from council? Councilman Jensen?
Again, all this, our thanks to our public safety people. And if there's no other comments, I'll just move to receive the fire department annual report.
Councilman Sukram?
I'll second that.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Moving on to item 18 is resolution 2024-063, authorizing the mayor to execute a facilities agreement with NPPD to replace transformer T1 at NPPD's Fremont substation.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is the second of 3 items that we are going to be presenting to City Council. A couple meetings ago, you approved a memo of understanding on the split between OPPD and Fremont on this transformer. That called for Fremont to pay the capital investment, and OPPD was going to pay the ongoing operation and maintenance costs of the transformer. This transformer, as mentioned before, is a replacement for a transformer that was retired a number of years ago. It's caused problems in how we operate our system. It's caused problems in how OPPD operates their system. So we're proposing to get it replaced. This agreement here that we're asking you to approve is for an estimated $6 million that we will sign to have NPPD procure the transformer, design it, or design the installation and get it all installed. At the next meeting, we'll be bringing you an interconnection agreement with OPPD.
Questions for Mr. Shanahan on this item? Councilman Von Baron.
No, just, Jeff, I appreciate you being proactive on things like this. I mean, I'm sure this is probably more of a necessity, but some of the things that you do as far as utilities and streets and keeping up on simple things like sewer and the GPSing that you're doing, just appreciate your being proactive.
Thank you.
Councilman Vaughn.
Just to clarify, this doesn't have anything to do with the bird flying into the whatever it was, circuit breaker.
No. This replaces, we have 3 interconnecting tie lines in the city of Fremont. This is one of those interconnections. It's basically going to take it from a 56 MVA to 156 MVA in that range, depending on how it's designed.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody here to speak on this item? Okay. Any additional comments from the council? If there are none, I would take a motion. Councilwoman Ganem.
I move we approve resolution 2024-063, authorizing the mayor to execute a facilities agreement with NPPD to replace transformer T1 at NPPD's Fremont substation.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second that.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Councilman Jensen.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second that.
Cast your votes.
Motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.